I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, doesn't decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
It's a little frustrating. You know, Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships. Media is smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff.
He was public enemy number 2 after President Trump, straight up.
Because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress. That's one of the reasons why we need a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's another reason why we need term limits for members of Congress.
Now we're talking, Ron. Now we're talking. He's going to run for president again, I guarantee you.
But I think what you've seen with how, and I kind of said this early on, that Doge and Elon were on a collision course with the swamp. And the question is, what would happen? And I don't think there's any question that Doge fought the swamp, and so far the swamp has won. And that's just unfortunate, but I don't think you can look at this any other way. So this is hardwired into how the people in Washington are borrowing and spending your money. But it has huge implications for the viability of our economy, our country, and everything going forward. And, you know, don't tell me it can't be done. When I became governor, so if you look at, Florida's been a state for 180 years, if you look at all the debt that's been accumulated over our entire history of statehood, just since I've been governor, we've paid off 41% of it. And we're doing more every day. So that's not adding to debt, that's reducing debt.
I said this before in one of my other videos, but we got to get back to it. Elon Musk seems like he has some resentment, and not necessarily towards President Trump, but the whole system itself. I mean, Elon Musk himself gave $250 million, if not more, to the Trump campaign, which greatly helped him get into office. Along with Elon being on his side, also helped the president get into office because all of those Elon fans came over and supported Elon. And then Elon Musk goes out of his way to create the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, hired all of these geniuses and super successful people to help find waste, fraud, and abuse and make the government more streamlined. And now look, they literally have done absolutely nothing to help Doge get everything codified and put in a better streamlined system. Congress is not helping at all. We have USAID, yes. USAID is probably some sort of miracle, but who knows if a lot of that money is still being paid out in another way. And what about the other thousands of things that Doge has found? Congress is taking no action on this at all. So even if they continue all the way through 2026 and find all this stuff, they've done it all in vain because Congress isn't helping at all. Let's get into Senator Rick Scott. He is going to be talking about Doge and a few of the other things along with the big, beautiful bill and explaining why he probably won't be voting for the bill unless some of the Doge cuts can actually be put in there. I kind of like this take. I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Let's check it out.
Senator, I now want to shift gears to the big, beautiful bill. Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Rand Paul are threatening to not vote for it because they say it does not cut enough spending. What is your take on the current status of the big, beautiful bill? It's passed the House. Will you be voting for it or will you be advocating for some changes?
Well, look, I think all of Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, all of us, we want a bill to pass. We want a good bill. We want to build a security border. We want President Trump's agenda. We want to make sure we plus up the military. We want to make sure we all the Doge opportunities to reduce costs are part of this bill, and then this bill to the extent we can. But guess what? The Democrats have increased the budget by over 50% in the last 5 years. The House bill cuts the spending by less than 2%. over the next 10 years. It doesn't balance the budget. It isn't even close to balancing the budget. So there's a whole bunch of us. We are going to fight like hell to balance this budget. I mean, it's so we've got to get rid of the Green New Deal money. We've got to say, if you don't want to work, why do you get free health care paid by somebody else? Why do poor states pay for the health care of the citizens of richer states? I mean, there's so many things that there's no common sense here. So I think we're all going to fight to make sure we pass a bill that puts us in the process to balance the budget. And we can balance the budget quickly. You balance your budget. Part of it's going to be through this reconciliation bill with the mandatory. Part of it will be through the budget process in September through discretionary spending. But we're going to get this done.
So, Senator, would you say without any changes at its current composition, would you vote no?
Oh, absolutely. I'd vote no. This bill doesn't have it. If they brought it to the floor like right now, there's not a chance it'll get the 51 votes it needs. So look, we all know we have to balance the budget. Look, we know that it's getting harder to sell our treasuries. We know interest rates are going up. We want to get interest rates down. We get inflation under control. That means balance the budget. Guess what? I did it every year I was governor. If these states supposedly balance their budgets, no, they balance their budget by doing the same thing the federal government does. They borrow money. I stopped that. I stopped the state borrowing more money every year, which had been doing for 40 years, and it paid off a third of the state debt while I was governor. So that's what we ought to be doing at the federal level. That's how we'll get interest rates down. That's how we'll get inflation under control. The poorest families in this state, in this country, are getting hurt by this massive inflation caused by reckless government spending. We're spending $2 trillion more than we take in. And we're taking in plenty of money. It's not like we don't have high enough taxes. We have way higher spending than we need.
And so Senator, that's a big statement, and we want to see it pass. What can then be done? Because our audience is like, wait a second, I thought it passed the House. Are you saying that the Senate can change it, and then there's a reconciliation between the House and the Senate? Is that correct?
Yeah, Charlie, we'll change it. We'll have our own bill. And what'll happen is it'll go back through a conference, or it'll just go back to the House and they'll pass our bill. But I believe we're going to dramatically reduce mandatory spending to get this budget balanced in a short period of time, which is what we have to do. It's what we promised. I just went through my election just like President Trump did. We all promised we were going to balance the budget. We are going to set the process to quickly balancing this budget.
Well, there you have it. I don't see anything wrong with what Senator Rick Scott said. It makes sense. They need to balance the budget. We don't want to be spending money when we don't need to be spending it. That's the whole point of the Department of Government Efficiency. They already did the hard work for them. We're going to have to people are just going to have to be honest with themselves, and we're going to really get the true colors of these members of Congress if they just refuse to let this bill get passed, because that kind of makes it seem like money is going into people's pockets if you guys don't want to start implementing the things that the Department of Government Efficiency found. That was the whole purpose of Elon and Doge doing this in the first place, is to reduce government spending. Now, if all that money is just going out of the window and into people's pockets, allegedly, that needs to be fixed. President Trump needs to push him a little harder. I don't know if he can do that. I don't know how that's supposed to work. But man, I really do hope that they can get this bill passed and that they can start implementing the things that Doge has created. Stop wasting our taxpayer dollars, putting money in places where it doesn't need to go, putting it in your own pockets, if that is true. If that is the case, they better get this fixed. Otherwise, hey, it's going to all fall back on them and everything's going to backfire, and we're not going to look at the golden age like we were supposed to be looking at it. It's all going to go out of the window if they can't get all this crap done. So let's go, Congress. Look out for the American people for once, instead of your own pockets, and instead of looking out for other countries. Is that too much to ask?